The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. We do it over here. We differentiate between news and opinion here. We de-propagandize the mainstream media. Opinion, yours, mine, let's compare, and so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Thanks very much for being with us today. A couple of interesting things, at least as far as I'm concerned. You'll note that the broadcast is coming to you at a different time than normal. This is the time that we picked. I don't know, a couple of years ago to do the broadcast. And what ended up happening is that we said to ourselves, let's by all means move the show to a later time because I took a new job. I have a new day job, and so we started doing the show. From 11 to 1 p.m., which works out to noon until 2 on the East Coast, and so we did that. But this new job also is putting me in kind of a position where I had to work my way through moving some things around because of training, et cetera, et cetera. So yesterday I had some personal things I had to get done. And today I have to go to work 2 hours early. So the show is a couple of hours early. So welcome to the broadcast, and I'm glad you are here. So there have been some crimes. There have been crimes that are heinous. They are awful, and they are preventable. There are stories that are horrific. One begins with murder, and then the other begins with rape. A nationwide manhunt for a person who killed a 37-year-old Maryland woman on a popular hiking trail last year may have ended in Oklahoma over the weekend with the arrest of a suspect in Rachel Marin's death. Victor Antonio Martinez Hernandez, 23 years of age, was charged with the first-degree murder and first-degree rape of Morin, according to Hartford County Sheriff Jerry Goller, during a news conference in Maryland on Saturday. The young mother of 5, whose life was violently taken in a public location that is one of the safest places in the street, is not supposed to happen, said Goller. I'm here to tell you, Rachel's murderer is no longer free. Hopefully, he will never have the opportunity to walk free again. We do have a report. This comes to us from WJZ in Baltimore. This is one of the local stations there. Let's take a look at this heart-rending report as we continue and start this morning on the Wells Report.
The suspect will be taken more than 1,200 miles from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Bel Air within the next 2 weeks. Today, we spoke to a loved one of Morin who called him a psychopath, and there are fears there could be more victims.
It really rips your heart out when you don't have that closure.
Matt McMahon is the father of the oldest of Rachel Morin's 5 children. He's heartbroken, but finally has that closure 10 months after she was attacked and murdered along the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air with the arrest of 23-year-old Victor Martinez Hernandez.
I understand he's a coward. He only attacks women that are smaller than him and children. I'm not scared of him, and I'm going to be there until the gavel comes down and he's guilty.
McMahon also revealed Morin will soon be a grandmother.
I feel really sad that they can't give this news to Rachel. I feel really sad that Rachel can't be there for the birth of her granddaughter. But I'm also just relieved that this chapter is closing.
Police say Martinez Hernandez entered the United States illegally after killing a woman in El Salvador 8 months before Morin. He's also accused of attacking a 9-year-old girl in a home invasion in Los Angeles. Harford County authorities say he had ties to gangs in Prince George's County, and after leaving Harford County, somehow made his way to Tulsa, where he was arrested outside a bar over the weekend. Deputies are still trying to pinpoint exactly where he was in Maryland and when, in case there are other victims. Sheriff Jeff Gaylor put up a sign announcing the arrest along the trailhead.
And we want the people who routinely make use of this trail, who have for more than 20 years, to know that the person responsible for the horrific event for Rachel's murder is behind bars and no longer poses a threat here in Harford County or anywhere in the world.
The FBI sent agents to El Salvador and were able to find the suspect using DNA. People we spoke to in Bel Air are relieved someone is in custody. How hard did that hit home for you?
It's definitely scary. Like, as a woman, it's definitely worrisome that something like that could happen so close to home, but I think it definitely gives people a peace of mind.
Don't know if you've seen around, there's signs everywhere, there's flowers everywhere, stuff like that. So I feel like a lot of people do still care. They were still invested. So definitely closure for sure.
Police believe the suspect may have spotted Morin and learned her routine. They're hoping to get more answers in the days ahead.
Yeah, this is unbelievable insofar as there are murderers and rapists that are out there that, for whatever reason, believe that the laws of the United States don't apply to them. Morin's body, by the way, was found on August 6th near the popular Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air, Maryland, spawning a nationwide investigation that led detectives to a home invasion in Southern California, locations in South America before Martinez Hernandez's arrest in the middle of the country in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Moving a little bit to a more populated area, specifically New York, there is a suspect that is currently under arrest in connection with the rape of a 13-year-old girl in a Queens Park last week. Christian Giovanni Landi. He is 25 years old. He is an Ecuadorian migrant who entered the U.S. illegally in June of 2021, was picked up overnight after community members recognized him from a photo and video released by police. Police say they restrained him, the citizens did, possibly with a belt, and roughed him up after he fought with his captors. He was taken to the hospital for evaluation. We have a report on that from ABC 7 New York. Let's bring that to you as we talk a little bit about horrific crimes being committed against the people of the United States based on what appears to be border policy from our government. Let's take a look.
It was an attack her friend says her friend was forced to witness. Eyewitness News reporter Stefan Kim has the latest. He's in Corona. Stefan?
Well, Sandra, it was a group of concerned community members here in Corona who recognized him from wanted posters. They say they noticed him he started coming here to this deli about 2 weeks ago. So last night they decided to wait for him. They knew his routine. Then around 1 a.m., the police got the call. This is a photo of the suspect obtained by Eyewitness News as he was taken into custody. Notice a distinctive tattoo on his chest, and he's missing a shoe. That's because about half a dozen Good Samaritans pounced on him and detained him for police. Among them, Jeffrey Flores, who, by the way, is not a small man. He confronted him, put him in a headlock at one point. He says that person of interest, 25-year-old Christian Giovanni Landi, tried to run, but Flores took his friend's belt and tied up his legs. Landi is accused of sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl in Casino Park last week while tying up her 13-year-old male friend's wrist to her wrist as he raped her with a machete in hand. Cops released a detailed sketch of the suspect's chest tattoo, and just last night released surveillance video of him. Landi was taken to Elmhurst Hospital to be treated for his injuries from what happened here in Corona.
Yeah, and that's horrific. Christian Giovanni Landi is the alleged attacker. Police say they restrained him, possibly with a belt, etc. He was taken to the hospital. He waived his Miranda rights, told police he had a drug problem, had never done anything like that before, according to NYPD Chief of Detectives Joe Kenny. He was previously arrested in Eagle Pass, Texas, for entering the country illegally. He also had 3 summonses in New York City and a domestic violence encounter with police that did not result in arrest. Why didn't it result in arrest? Well, because you see, he's an illegal migrant. And you're not supposed to be able to ask what the nationality status is of somebody that you're talking about if you're a New York cop. So consequently, this guy was left to his devices and indeed found himself in a position where he decided to rape a 13-year-old girl, allegedly. These people are coming across the border. They are killing us in DUI accidents. They are raping us. They are murdering us because they have no respect for American law. Why? Well, that's simple. Because the country, the government of the United States, begins their life in this nation with a complete disrespect for American law. Why wouldn't they follow in the footsteps of the government that invited them into the country illegally? Certainly the logic is, well, shoot, if you don't care about your laws, why should I? And what ends up happening is they just go and do whatever it is they want. These are gang members. These are two El Salvadoran gang members. They do whatever they want to anywhere they are at any time they feel like it. And we let them into our country. And there is a paper trail of law enforcement behind them, of breaking law. And it's because the government wants them in this country. It is a bipartisan mess. Many people say, well, why doesn't Congress act? Well, because the people in Congress have this idea that they essentially want to make all of this migrancy, this immigration, legal. In other words, just come to the country. Throw open the doors. Give us you're tired, you're poor, you're helpless, you're uneducated, you're criminals, you're insane asylum victims, and all of that stuff, and yearning to be free, and send them to us. That's what they're doing. And that is not what American immigration law should be. And because they want to make this legal, there are people in Washington, D.C. that says, we're just not going to do this. We're just not going to codify this absolutely irresponsible, wide open southern border. And then the other side cynically says, see, they're not serious about the border. Yeah, we are serious about the border. And something tells me that seriousness will be shown sometime in November of this year. I certainly hope so. I live in Texas. These people come right through our town on their way to wherever they go. DFW Airport is a hub. And then they get sent everywhere to rape and murder and kill. Not all of them, but certainly some of them. And then there are people that say, well, they commit crimes at a lower rate than Americans, as if to say, so if an illegal migrant hadn't raped this 13-year-old, someone in America would have? Is that what you're trying to say? Really? Is that really what you're trying to say? This is awful. This is ridiculous. It is unnecessary, and it is self-inflicted. Not inflicted by us, inflicted on us by our government. That's the way I see it. That's my opinion. That's not news. It's my opinion. What's yours? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. You know what? Probably not as much of this would have happened in the United States if it hadn't been for the fact that Governor DeSantis, Governor Abbott, and the Arizona governor got together and started shipping these people out of their states into the rest of the country. So far, these people haven't said, my God, it's all Texas's fault because they didn't keep them in their state so that they could rape their 13-year-olds. That is the paucity of logical thought that we find in our politicians. We have a chance to clean house in 2024. God, I hope we take it. This is the Wells Report. Back with more in just a couple of moments as we continue for Thursday morning.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer. And again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Yesterday was Juneteenth. Juneteenth, where slaves found out that they had been freed. It happened right here in Texas. It was a great day for this nation, as the official word of the end of slavery in the United States finally suffused through the land so that everybody knew that they were free. It was a great day. Now, that didn't stop racism. Racism would continue. It's a crime against humanity. It continues to this day, but certainly not at levels we've seen in the past in this nation. It went from absolute abhorrent racism against a particular group of people for the way they looked. It went from that to essentially exploiting it for political purposes in the present day. That's where we stand. But Juneteenth stands on its own as a great American holiday. It absolutely does. Unfortunately, it also stands as an opportunity for people to shoot each other. And that is what we report this morning. Several Juneteenth circumstances ended in tragedy. CBS 2 in Chicago talks about the story there, but there are certainly others. And we unfortunately have to find ourselves in a position where we report that. And we're going to do so right this very moment as we go to CBS 2 in Chicago for their report of a shooting there.
We're at Pulaski in Iowa, and I'll show you the aftermath here this morning. There is trash littered all over this area of this gas station. A witness here telling me there was a massive party happening down the block. Police began pushing them out of the neighborhood, and once everyone began gathering here, that's when those gunshots rang out. Here's surveillance video we obtained from inside the gas station. You can see a massive crowd beginning to run moments after those gunshots were fired. We'll freeze the frame at one point as the video shows multiple people getting shot. Then you'll see a police officer near that gas pump that says number 3, his weapon drawn as he's trying to get to one of the victims on the ground. Then more officers begin to file in, the fire department arriving on scene along with multiple ambulances. This happened just before 1 o'clock this morning. It's not clear at this what led up to the shooting, but police say the youngest victim is just 15 years old. She was shot in the neck and taken to Stroger Hospital in critical condition. We know 2 women, 18 and 19 years old, were also shot. 2 men, 25 and 35, shot. All those victims taken to area hospitals in fair condition. 1 woman in her 30s suffering from a broken ankle.
Yeah, and this was not just in Chicago. Multiple people were injured at a Juneteenth celebration in Oakland, California. Several people injured. This is from USA Today. Injured during that Juneteenth celebration. Around 8:45, a fight broke out. A shooting occurred, according to Oakland police. We're all celebrating. There were sideshows. A couple of fights were going on. Next thing we know, we thought we heard fireworks, so we ran from the direction, said Tamia Robinson, talking to local news outlet ABC 7 News. Officers were injured while trying to control the crowd. Multiple officials, or officers received minor injuries as they were trying to guide the crowd to a safe location. They were punched and pushed, according to the Oakland Police Department press release. A teen was killed after a Juneteenth event in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 2 killed at a shooting at Juneteenth in Round Rock, Texas. Yeah, that happened on Saturday, 30 miles north of Austin. 2 people killed, and 14, including children, were injured during a shooting during a Juneteenth celebration. Those who were killed not part of the altercation that apparently triggered the event. That's not the way you celebrate one of the greatest triumphs in American societal history. You don't shoot each other. How did we get so divided? How is it that we keep finding ourselves in positions where you turn on the news and hear these stories? It is something that I certainly hope gets remedied at our first opportunity. And let's hope that that indeed happens. This is the Wells Report. Back with more as we continue on Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. I know it's like a time warp. All of a sudden you're saying, wait a minute, why is the Wells Report on so early? Well, you see, we used to do this broadcast during this time frame, but we moved it to later when I took a new day job. Well, I have to go to work 2 hours early, so I moved everything up in my schedule a couple of hours, and thus we're doing the Wells Report at its old time instead of its new time. We'll be doing the Wells Report tomorrow at its new time, as opposed to this time. It will be 11 to 1 Central Time. I wonder how many times I can say time in one paragraph. Anyway, let's move on. So that's what's going on. Thanks very much for waking up a little bit early. Thursday is Supreme Court Decision Day. The Supreme Court this morning upheld a tax on foreign income that helped finance the tax cuts President Donald J. Trump imposed in 2017 in a case many experts had cautioned could undercut the nation's tax system. By the way, this is from the New York Times, so you can hear the bias. The vote was 7-2 with Justice Brett Kavanaugh writing the majority opinion. He was joined by Chief Justice John Roberts. The court's 3 liberals, Justice Amy Coney Barrett, wrote a concurring opinion, joined by Justice Samuel A. Alito Jr. Clarence Thomas dissented, joined by Justice Neil M. Gorsuch. The question before the justices appeared to be narrow at first glance. Is the tax in question allowed under the Constitution, which gives Congress limited powers of taxation? In the majority opinion, Justice Kavanaugh wrote the tax fell within the authority of the Congress during the Constitution or in the Constitution. Many tax experts had warned that striking down the tax could have wide repercussions. Such a move could have threatened fundamentally. It could change how income is defined, block efforts to tax billionaire wealth, and undermine the enforcement for all sorts of other taxes, which amounts to billions in revenues for the United States government. You know, I'm interested in finding out a little bit more about President Trump, who wants to replace income tax with tariffs on American goods. I haven't seen much of the plan yet, but I'm intrigued by it. I think we pay too much in taxes, and I certainly believe there should be a limit as to how much money anyone can pay the government. As we've seen, there is no amount of money that is sufficient for this government. It makes no difference how high the taxes are. They will spend more. It's time to get that under control as well. And so we turn to the Mideast this morning as there is news that Israel has taken out a Hamas squad leader who was also a sniper that took part in the October 7th Nova Music Festival massacre. Fox News has a report on that. Let's join it with Brett Baer and then Trey Yingst on the Wells Report here as we continue our morning show.
Increasing tension tonight between the Biden administration and Israel. The White House canceling tomorrow's meeting with Israeli officials about Iran following the claim that the U.S. is withholding military aid to Israel. That claim coming from Israel's Prime Minister, Bibi Netanyahu. Correspondent Trey Yingst has the latest tonight from Tel Aviv.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slamming the Biden administration this week, claiming that the United States is halting weapons shipments needed to fight Iran and other common enemies.
It's inconceivable that in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel.
The video statement reportedly upset American officials who canceled a scheduled meeting between the U.S. and Israel regarding Iran, a source familiar confirmed to Fox News. The White House denies the U.S. is blocking arms shipments and pushed back against the idea that it canceled the meeting, which was supposed to be tomorrow, claiming that details were still being finalized.
I'm not going to talk about what we said in diplomatic conversations. I can just say again that we have a commitment to make sure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself against a whole variety of threats.
That commitment comes amid growing concern about a broader war between Israel and the Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah that launched more rockets into northern Israel in recent hours. The Israeli military said in a statement Tuesday that operational plans were approved by the head of its northern command to take offensive action against Lebanon. Hezbollah's leader spoke this afternoon about the possibility of a larger conflict.
If the war was imposed on Lebanon, the resistance will fight with no regulations, no rules, and no ceilings.
As the region braces for an attack from Iran's largest proxy, the Iranians are reportedly expanding their nuclear program at a key underground site. Brett?
All right, so there you see, that is what
Tel Aviv.
is going on in the Middle East today. Hezbollah is indeed very interested in whatever saber rattling they feel necessary. The head of Lebanon's Hezbollah said yesterday that nowhere in Israel would be safe if a full-fledged war breaks out between the two foes, and also threatened EU member Cyprus for the first time and other parts of the Mediterranean. Hezbollah has been trading fire with Israel for more than 8 months in parallel with the Gaza war. On Tuesday of this week, the Iran-backed group published what it said was drone footage of a sensitive military site deep in Israel's territory. In a televised address, Hezbollah chief Syed Hassan Nasrallah said there would be no place safe from our missiles and our drones in Israel in the event of a broader war. The group had a bank of targets that was referred to that it could target in precision strikes, he said. Israel knows what awaits it in the Mediterranean is very big. In the face of a battle of this magnitude, it knows it must now wait for us on land, in the air, and at sea. Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz warned Tuesday that a decision on an all-out war with Israel was coming soon. Israel's military had operational plans for an offensive in Lebanon that had been approved and validated. Nasrallah also threatened Cyprus, an EU member state located in close proximity to Lebanon, with which it has cordial relations, accusing it of allowing Israel to use its airports and bases for military exercises. The Cypriot government must be warned that opening Cypriot airports and bases for the Israeli enemy to target Lebanon means the Cypriot government has become part of the war and the resistance. Hezbollah will deal with it as part of that war. Cyprus is not the problem. It is part of the solution. The role is evident, for example, through the humanitarian aid corridor that has been acknowledged not only by the Arab world, but from the international community, he said, referring to shipments from aid to Cyprus or aid to Gaza from Cyprus. Cypriot President Nikos Christodoulides denied any suggestion that Cyprus was taking sides in any contract. He was the one that brought up the aid to Gaza. Cyprus is not known to offer any land or base facilities to the Israeli military, but it has in the past allowed Israel to use its vast airspace, its flight information region, to occasionally conduct air drills, but never during conflict. Sovereign British military bases on Cyprus, that's sovereign military bases on Cyprus, have been used by Britain for operations in Syria in the past, and more recently Yemen. The Cypriot government has no say in the matter. There are 2 British bases in Cyprus, which had a colony or was a colony until 1960. Certainly, if Hezbollah wants to get involved in a wider conflict and target Cyprus, Britain will respond, and then the allies will respond. Hezbollah is biting off, in my humble opinion, far more than it can chew. It is not a military in and of itself. It is backed by Iran, and Iran is making the case that there should be some intervention in their country as well. When you come down to this conclusion, when you look at all the facts, you come to the idea that Iran, once again, is essentially blowing itself up into a gigantic paper tiger that it can't back up. In other words, that image, they can't back that up. They say, well, we're working on nuclear weapons. Actually, they don't say it, they just do it. And when they come up with a functioning nuclear weapon, Israel will act. There is nothing stopping them, and nothing should stop them. But Hezbollah has seen for itself what happens when you take on the Israeli military. That's another reason why Gaza lays in ruins as we speak this morning, as a warning to other people that would attack Israel. This country, the country of Israel, is not going to be the seat of Jewish demise. They will do whatever is necessary to protect themselves and their people. There is absolutely nothing that will stop them. And the people of the Middle East need to be aware of this. Now, I don't know exactly what's going on with Hezbollah. Hezbollah does not have the military resources, even with Iran's backing, to take on the IDF. Just as Hamas did not have the capability or capabilities that it takes to take on the IDF when they engaged in their ill-advised October 7th massacre at the Nova Music Festival. By the way, speaking of Hamas, there is news from Israel and Hamas. This reported from Fox News. A Hamas squad commander and sniper who took part in the October 7th massacre in southern Israel was killed in a strike in northern Gaza, according to the IDF. Ahmed Hassan Salame al-Suarka was killed in a precise and targeted strike conducted by the Israeli Air Force in the Bet Hanun area, according to the IDF. Al-Suarka was a squad commander in the Hamas Nukba forces, which carried out attacks in southern Israel during the October 7th massacre. He also led and directed sniper activity in the area where he was killed and took part in Hamas's attacks on IDF troops. There are also pieces of news that seem to fall at the feet of this now deceased human being, that there were indeed sniper attacks on Gazans trying to flee the carnage that occurred after the October 7th attack. The deadly strike on al-Suarqa was conducted following intelligence gathered by the IDF and the Israeli Securities Agency. After an extensive search and measures taken to mitigate harm to civilians, the IDF and al-Suarqa was identified by troops, then killed. The military noted there were no civilians injured during the strike. Israeli troops are still operating in the central Gaza Strip, according to the military. In the past day, a mortar shell launch post was struck by IDF artillery and aerial forces. 2 terrorists were targeted using an Iron Sting precision missile. The IDF said that troops remain in the Rafah area conducting precise intelligence-based operational activities. Several terrorists have been killed in close quarters encounters in the past 24 hours, and targeted raids have revealed rocket launchers and other weapons, according to the Israeli Defense Force. Sooner or later, the world will have enough, and sooner or later, the world will act. And that action will be both targeted on Hamas, what's left of it, any other Palestinian Authority terrorist activity, Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, and Iran. And that is a wider conflict by definition. The question is just exactly how long will we wait? If indeed the world forces wait until Iran acquires a nuclear weapon, then Katie bar the door. Katie bar the door. I mean, when I was growing up, we thought of the Soviet Union attacking Western Europe, rolling through the Fulda Gap, and essentially trying to turn the countries of France and Germany and so on and so forth into another Soviet playground. It was the Cold War. We also worried about a strategic nuclear weapons attack, missiles coming across the pole to lay waste, the North Pole, to lay waste on our cities and vice versa. I never thought that if indeed World War III would happen on this country, that we would be, both countries, Russia and the United States, would be spectators in a regional conflict involving the nuclear genie and a theocracy's attempt to try to harness that power, as if it could be, in order to fight a religious war against the Jews. It is amazing that we find ourselves in a position where the Third World War could be touched off with the major powers being little more than spectators. Oh, they'd become involved. There would be no doubt. But at the end of all of it, what will we have? Radioactive ruin? Worldwide nuclear conflict? All because there are people that can't get along because they go to the wrong church? Is that seriously what we're contemplating here? And there's also something else. Just how deep does anti-Jewish bigotry run in the United States government? It seems to me that this is plain. The Jews get to have their country. They get to have the protection of that country. They get to go out into the world and destroy those who seek to kill them. That seems plain. What am I missing? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. This is the Wells Report. Thanks very much for joining us on this Thursday morning. More news coming up in just a couple of seconds as we roll through what's happening here on the Wells Report. By the way, there is something else that's been going on, equally international. It has to do with one of the oldest monuments in the history of the human endeavor, and the people who, for whatever reason, believe that they should try to harm it and try to vandalize it. More about that coming up. This is the Wells Report.
Vallarta.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. Good morning, John David Wells at your service. Want to say hi to the people in the chat room today. Alicia Delosier has joined us. Buddy McBride. Let's see who else. Who else is there? Is Yvonne with us this morning? No, not so far. Probably did not get the word because I screwed up my messaging yesterday regarding the show, and it's a mess. Yeah, I need. Somebody was talking to me about. This broadcast, and how much help I get doing it. The answer is, although the people that have helped us are amazing, specifically Jude Dankworth, Dirk Steele, and so on and so forth, mostly I do this on my own, and I have deficits. And one of them is publicity. And I've driven Jude Dankworth, who's the publicist of the Wells Report, crazy over the years. God bless her and all of her endeavors, and I certainly appreciate everything she's done for the broadcast. But I screw up the messaging, and there you go. So today at 4:51 in the afternoon, we will experience the summer solstice. Yep. In the Northern Hemisphere, it's the longest day of the year. It is an excuse to enjoy the warm weather, put flowers in your hair, run around naked, and whatever. And so what we do is we don't do this anymore. If you just don't want to see your neighbors running around naked with flowers in their hair. But the thing about it is that we do have, the human endeavor has spent centuries marking the solstices. And what are they? Well, the Earth is at a tilt of 23.5 degrees. And in the orbit around the sun, twice a year, that axis points directly at the sun, not so much directly at it, but it is the point where it points directly in the direction of the sun, which means that it is the longest day of the year or the shortest day of the year, depending on which hemisphere you're in and whether it's the winter or summer solstice. So at 4:51 this afternoon Eastern time, it is the moment during the day when the sun reaches its most northern point in the sky during the year. Okay. Now, in case you're wondering, this 23.5 degree tilt is kind of important. It's what gives the Earth its seasons. When the northern half of the planet leans towards the sun, it experiences summer. At the same time, the southern half of the planet leans away from the sun, and it is winter. It is a mystery why the Earth is angled this way. Astronomers, however, believe that tilt paved the way for life on this planet. Now, there are various temples around the world that are oriented toward the summer and winter solstices. One of them is one you know. It is Stonehenge. And so instead of running around with flowers in your hair naked, chasing each other, et cetera, and playing, there are people that want to do horrible things to these temples, and they did so at Stonehenge the other day. Take a look at this Fox report.
Look at this video from this morning. Vandalism at one of the world's most historic sites. Climate activists spraying orange powder paint all over Stonehenge on the eve of the summer solstice. The protest group Just Stop Oil calling for the United Kingdom to drop fossil fuels by 2030. Two of these activists were arrested for defacing this ancient monument in southern England.
You watch that video and you see like one woman out there, right?
Yeah.
One woman trying to grab the guy's arm to try and lead him away. I mean, she tried her best.
Yeah, I guess they're giving the museums and the Degas and the Monets and the Da Vinci's a little break and heading over to this historic monument at Stonehenge.
Today was Stonehenge's turn.
Yeah, this was absolutely ridiculous, and nobody really has any idea what these people actually think when they do stuff like this. For whatever reason, they believe that their opinion is more important than millennia's worth of years history of Earth's history. 2 environmental protesters have been arrested after spraying Stonehenge with orange paint. This from USA Today. This is according to the group responsible and local police. Wiltshire police said in a statement they arrested 2 people, quote, following an incident at Stonehenge. On Wednesday afternoon at around noon, we responded to reports that orange paint had been sprayed on some of the stones by 2 suspects. Officers attended the scene and arrested 2 people on suspicion of damaging the ancient monument. The group responsible is an environmental activism group called Just Stop Oil. The group posted a video of the incident on X saying 2 people took action the day before the summer solstice, demanding that the incoming government sign up to a legally binding treaty to phase out fossil fuels by 2030. Excuse me, environmentalist dumbbutts. England is one of the world's largest producers of oil. They have the North Sea oil fields. And that's one of the reasons why England is a wealthy nation. And no, they're not going to stop pumping oil out of the North Sea for the sake of your environmental delusion. And the idea that you can go and, as the Fox News reporters, Martha McCallum and Bill Hemmer are talking about, they're giving the great artworks of the world, you know, Da Vinci, Degas, all of these artworks have been sprayed with paint, et cetera, and now they're turning to the monuments. You know, I understand you might have strong opinions, but when you deface world history, you got to reevaluate those ridiculous opinions, in my humble opinion. What do you think? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. That's the first hour of the Wells Report. We have polling information. It's new and it's interesting. We'll be talking about that as we continue on the Wells Report for this Thursday morning. Stay where you are. And once again, thanks so much for being with us as we bring you the news devoid of propaganda. And yeah, we're going to return to our normal time, which is 11 to 1 tomorrow. But right now, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a second.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Oh, good. I've done it again. I don't know how I do that. Okay, so I do know how I do that. I hit the wrong video clip. Thank goodness I was sitting here at the time, huh? Welcome to the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. We have a little bit of extra time to sort of talk to each other here for just a couple of moments. Insofar as I hit the wrong commercial set again. Anyway, Alicia Delosier was talking to us in the beginning, just going to get worse thanks to Biden open borders. We were talking last hour about the circumstances surrounding various criminals coming from various states, El Salvador in specific, with a rapist and a murderer, etc., being arrested virtually on the same day yesterday. And it's a self-inflicted wound that the United States does as a matter of political policy. It is something that, in my view, is destructive to the nation and cynical on its face. These people are criminals. And so much for the vaunted vetting process of people coming across the southern border illegally. And the idea that they could start their actual life in the United States by breaking the law goes downstream to a complete disrespect for American law. And so they do whatever they want to do. And they're being invited to do so by the government of the United States. This is something you need to keep in mind, at least in my humble opinion. When you go to the ballot box, whoever's responsible for this garbage needs to pay the price. Now, there are different varying points of view as to who's responsible. But I think that if you look at it logically, you'll see the answer. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. I was just sharing one a couple of moments ago. It's just what I think. It's not news. Your opinion isn't news either, but I sure would like to hear it anyway. I'd like to compare our opinions, and so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. So the President of the United States, Joe Biden, is elderly, and he behaves like it. And there's an interesting dynamic going on regarding the reporting of these elderly moments. And they are becoming more and more defensive when it comes to the White House trying to explain them. This from Fox News, biased report now. As the general election season nears, White House officials are dismissing as cheap fakes as opposed to deep fakes, a series of viral videos circulating on social media that purport to show President Biden in declining mental acuity. But a conservative tech expert counters that the videos are genuinely troubling and that the Biden shop's pushback is part of an election buzzword effort aimed at pressuring social media platforms to take action against it. The discredited right-wing critics of President Biden, who spread other debunked lies, including that the 2020 election was stolen, are clearly threatened by the wide range of nonpartisan fact-checkers that have pulled back the curtain on the cheap fake smears they're forced to rely on, since the last thing they want to discuss is Joe Biden's agenda to cut taxes for working families and keep bringing violent crime to historic lows. This according to White House spokesman Andrew Bates, speaking to Fox News. Quote, their panicked reaction to mainstream reporters, including the Washington Post, NBC News, and PolitiFact, citing misinformation experts taking anti-Biden cheap fakes apart, says more than we ever could, continued Bates. In recent weeks, videos of Biden from various events appear to show him confused. One video shows him turning away from a group of world leaders at a D-Day anniversary event in France to speak to a parachuter, which is what he was doing. The parachuter was out of the frame, and because of the way Joe Biden moves, it looked like he was doddering off into a field, apparently searching for daisies. That's not what happened. And yes, it was a dishonest edit. It was dishonest video journalism. And we pointed that out on this broadcast. He was saying hi to the paratroopers behind him. And there are other circumstances like that that absolutely blow all of the credibility necessary to be able to report on the story of President Biden and his declining mental capability. That is not up for debate. It happens to everyone. Everyone. And it's happened to this president and is happening. The president trying to sit down where there was no chair. Thank goodness he wasn't successful, because he would have literally fallen right on the ground. Jill Biden was next to him and said, Joe, stand up, or something to that effect. Now, the strident defense of the cheap fake situation fell to Karine Jean-Pierre, who is the White House press secretary, who must have the most ridiculously difficult job in the history of the human endeavor. This is what she had to say, and this was a response from Fox News. Here it is on the Wells Report for you this morning.
You all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith. The right-wing critics of the president have a credibility problem. Misinformation, disinformation, how desperate Republicans are here. And these deep fakes, these manipulated videos, and it is, again, done in bad faith.
White House now facing widespread backlash after claiming that the media is manipulating videos to make the president appear frozen or frail or at times mentally confused. We're going to show you 3 specific videos from just within the last week that the White House is referring to here. These have not been cropped. They have not been sped up or slowed down or edited in any way. Let's go through them one by one. That's the Juneteenth celebration at the White House. And here is the president last week standing very still at a White House celebration, while everybody around him is dancing. And here he is. This one is from 3 days later.
This is the video that is dishonest. He is going to talk to the parachuters.
Okay, so something else draws his attention, it appears. He wanders away from the other G7 leaders during a skydiving demonstration, gives a thumbs up to some others who have landed in a nearby area. But then Giorgia Meloni, Italy's prime minister, goes over and, sort of pulls him back to the G7 leaders group where they're about to hear something from the jumper who then speaks to them. And here he is 2 days after this. Okay, so that's the last one. He appeared kind of frozen on the stage. This also got a ton of attention after the star-studded fundraiser in California. And you can see that former President Obama kind of taps him on the hand, puts his hand over the current president's hand, and kind of pulls a little bit. You can see that quite clearly.
Yeah, you could see that. And you also saw that the president stumbled on his way through the curtains at the back of the stage, just slightly. That wasn't being reported. There are other things that are not being reported on this story that need to be reported on this story. You could see that what has happened here is that the story has morphed from the president of the United States being aged and infirm and having trouble mentally and physically into the White House press secretary saying that it's all the media's fault, that they're running fake video. It's not fake video, but it is a misrepresentation of what is actually going on. And I'm not talking about the 3 that we just saw. The first one, yeah, that's a problem. The president overwhelms in a sensory way, basically froze. You could see it. Not only was he not moving, his eyes weren't moving. He was just standing there like a statue. The second one is dishonest. The second one is dishonest. It is a dishonest, shall we say, omission of what the president was doing. The cameraman, apparently a pool cameraman, was looking at the large groups of world leaders. The president did wander back to talk to some of the parachuters behind him, but they didn't widen the shot to establish context. When they say that shot was taken out of context, that's exactly what they're talking about, and it is dishonest. The third one, where President Obama essentially reaches over and grabs the president, who is once again in sensory overload, and that's a bad way of saying it, guides him off the stage. That was very smooth, by the way. He reaches out and grabs President Obama, reaches out and grabs President Biden's hand, and then waves at somebody in the crowd. It's a misdirection. It was very, very smooth. And then after he led the president back toward the back of the stage, he put his hand on his shoulders to be able to guide the president. You could see him doing that. And then the president almost stumbled. He stumbled slightly. You could see it right toward the end of the video. And so what happens is that the White House puts the press, the media, on the defense. Here's the story that needs to be discussed. I find it reprehensively cynical that these people would be complaining about unfair media coverage of their president when they took part in and indeed glorified handing out all kinds of journalism awards. I remember when the Peabody Award was actually a really good award to win. It was like the pinnacle of journalism. Now it's just a political thing like everybody else. Like everything else, it's turned into the Oscars. You know, it's not what you do, it's who you know and how friendly you are with people that make votes. Anyway, that being said, the Pulitzer Prize as well. The circumstance that I see here is that these people who celebrated all of this dishonest coverage of President Trump are now complaining about what they say is dishonest coverage of Joe Biden. And some of it is, which is idiotically stupid. If you are going to talk about the media being unfair to President Trump, you cannot apply unfair coverage to President Biden. It blows the credibility of the entire story. Nobody in the media is talking about that. They probably will later on today because I brought it up. They watch. Anyway, that being said, the story is, why are these people complaining about something that they've taken part in for the last almost 10 years against President Trump? Why is it? Many of the Pulitzer Prizes, Peabody Awards that we've been talking about, those were handed out for dishonest journalism. And were they given back? No. They're in the case of the New York Times, they're on a shelf somewhere with their other honestly earned Pulitzer Prizes. I mean, come on. You cannot make the point that this coverage it's cheap fakes, it's just not right. Except for the glaring omission of blowing your own credibility by actually taking part in dishonest video editing. But that being said, I've already discussed it. But the thing about it is you can't complain about this when you took part in it, part and parcel, against President Trump. And that's not being talked about. And it needs to be talked about. We talk about dishonest journalism all the time on this broadcast because it's dishonest. We point out things that people say, well, are you a President Biden supporter? Are you a Trump supporter? No, I'm a truth supporter. I point out what I see after I report the news. And oh, by the way, I take the same kind of news that this left-wing or right-wing media chooses to warp and commit bias for the sake of their politics. I use that same information and actually bring you a newscast. Do I tell you what I'm thinking about it? Sure. I tell you what I think. But I make sure you know I'm telling you what I think as opposed to what I know. They don't do that. They don't do that. What you must, although Fox News in that second cut, they did acknowledge the president did have an interest in speaking to the parachutists behind him. They brought that up, but then they said, well, the Italian prime minister had to draw him back to the crowd. Well, yeah. That was dishonest. And that was Fox News. If you're going to report this story, you better report it fairly and honestly, in context and correctly, or you're going to blow your credibility. Not that the mainstream media of any stripe is credible at this point. If it was credible, you wouldn't be here right now. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells with you. There are other political pieces of news. I don't know whether it's going to happen, probably because it already would have happened if it was, but the Supreme Court makes its decisions public on Thursdays. I'm waiting to see about that decision from the Supreme Court regarding presidential immunity. I keep my eyes on the news for that. And there's more. We'll bring it to you next here on the Wells Report as we get things rolling and keep things rolling for Thursday morning.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. So polling in the presidential chase up until about 2.5 weeks ago was decidedly in favor of Donald Trump. Well, we're getting closer to the election and things are tightening up, but I'm still trying to figure out just exactly why. The latest to explain how President Biden has unbelievably made up the 5 and 6 point gaps into actually taking the lead in some places comes from Fox News. Fox News has brand new polling information out, and Brett Baier talked about it yesterday on the network. Let's take a listen.
Good evening. I'm Brett Baer. We are releasing new Fox polls right now about the presidential race. President Biden gets his best result this election cycle in the head-to-head against former President Donald Trump. He leads 50-48. That is within the margin of error. President Biden hasn't been ahead of former President Trump in the polls since October 2023. He trailed Trump by 1 point last month. Again, all within the margin of error, a very tight race. When listing extremely important issues to their vote, registered voters in this survey citing the future of democracy at 68%, the economy at 66%, followed by stability and normalcy, then healthcare and immigration, abortion, and guns. This as President Biden is preparing to share a stage with the former president in just over a week, the first presidential debate, which we will cover live right here on Fox News Channel next Thursday night.
Okay, so as we come to this, you look at that report and you say, okay, so just exactly what has changed? What political dynamic has changed that the polling would be changing in the United States in favor of Joe Biden? The answer is nothing has changed. The policies that have brought political ruin to President Biden are still in place. Nothing has changed. There was the conviction of President Trump on felony charges in New York. But 68% of Americans believe, and this is all polling again, so what does it matter? Anyway, 68% of Americans believe it's all political in nature, and they pretty much discount it. However, what we have here is we have the polling questions changing. If you go back and you look at that, there are subjective questions about the future of democracy and stability and normalcy. Those are questions that are skewed against President Trump, at least in my humble opinion, and therefore the research is skewed within the margin of error. There's another reason why we're doing this. Now, when I say we, I have nothing to do with it, because I happen to believe you ask straightforward, pointed questions in any kind of research scenario. Who would you, if you had to vote today, who would you vote for? President Trump, President Biden, or Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? And then what you do is you do your research. But that's me. Talking about stability and normalcy? Okay. Who's going to say, yes, I want chaos and change? Not many people. Well, stability and normalcy is what has been going on for the last several years. That favors President Biden. And so you start looking at all these questions and so on, and you can see this is a biased poll, but they all are. I find it amazing that Fox News is taking part in this biased journalism game. I've been watching the slow decline of Fox News in its willingness to play politics, and I understand a little bit more about this particular thing, and here it is. There are debates coming. There are debates coming. And the news industry is looking forward to those debates being meaningful. Most of us believe that a debate between President Biden and President Trump is going to look an awful lot like the clubbing of a baby seal. But we could be wrong. But they're trying to create an opportunity for ratings, public interest. It's strange that Fox would be pumping up a debate that's coming up on June 27th that's going to be on CNN. So is this journalism, or has the rigging begun? You tell me. This is the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Sorry, I'm writing a note to Dan Bongino. We've been exchanging things, and he got back to me, so I just got back to him. Good morning. This is the Wells Report news analysis, commentary, and debate, and that's what we do on this broadcast. There are a couple of other things that we need to spend some time discussing. That we haven't had really enough chance to do so. The Supreme Court of the United States could decide President Trump's blockbuster fight for immunity. They've already decided it. They could announce that decision today, but it doesn't seem like they're going to. because they announce their decisions typically on Thursday. They may do it on Friday. Don't know, but we're watching that. This from CNN. The Supreme Court's most closely watched dispute this year, a case questioning whether former President Donald Trump may claim immunity from federal election subversion charges, also has the potential to be one of the hardest to parse out for meaning in real time. In between Trump's initial demand for total immunity and appeals court ruling earlier this year that found he's entitled to no protections is a murky gap with massive practical implications for whether he can be tried before the November election. At issue is special counsel Jack Smith's prosecution of Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. This is blatantly biased. Okay. Let me get back to review this. At issue is special counsel Jack Smith's prosecution of Trump's effort to overturn the 2020 election. That is a statement that is scurrilous. Okay, the president didn't try to overturn the 2020 election. What he was doing was he was standing for his side of the argument. And when you start quelling the other side of the argument, especially in a political context, you run the risk of oppression. And you run the risk of censorship. And that's what's happening here, in my humble opinion. So the court's decision could have implications for other criminal cases against Trump as well. In addition to the bottom line ruling about whether Trump is immune from prosecution, could be important clues about how quickly the matter will go to trial. Look, this is an oversimplified version of this, which works to the narrative that no one is above the law, etc., and CNN is showing its bias yet again. This is all subtle, but it's important that you're aware of it. Okay, it's not that simple. When you start talking about presidential immunity, you're trying to create an opportunity for a chief executive to act without having to look over his shoulder at every given moment, wondering whether or not he's going to be prosecuted by some city DA, some city prosecutor somewhere in America. The Supreme Court has got to find this decision very carefully here. The president does require immunity from prosecution. How much? How much? This also has implications regarding, okay, so where does impeachment come in? Where does it fall into the conversation? So there are remedies to remove a president from office if they are guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors, not named. It doesn't say anything about political crimes or misdemeanors, which is what the President Trump, was impeached on the last time. The last times. And so now you're in a situation where there are genuine criminal charges being levied against the President of the United States by local, county, and state prosecutors, and indeed federal prosecutors. That would ruin the presidency for what it was identified to be by the framers of this nation. An executive, he executes. He's got to make swift decision-making. He doesn't have all the information that he needs. He has the assurances of his aides and the industries in which he is dealing with. But if there are screw-overs in place, Solyndra with President Obama, and Operation Warp Speed with President Trump, taking advice from otherwise apparently supposedly reliable people like Anthony Fauci, well, you can now be prosecuted for those things. Joe Biden has a major problem, although the Republicans are finding a way to run away from the actual evidence that they've built against President Biden and his family for influence buying. You've noticed they haven't said a word. They're just letting it go just in time for the election. Doggone it, just in time for the election. They've stopped pursuing President Biden for an impeachment effort. It's what Republicans do. They support Democrats in ulterior and cynical ways that are preferably kept in the dark, and nobody brings that stuff out. Well, I do. The Republicans are useless. Now, I heard something today. This is kind of a digression. I heard something today where now the Democrats are calling for a Constitution party. Well, welcome to the club. I've been calling for a Constitution party for years because we need a party that represents the interests and the realities of the Constitution of the United States. The problem with it is that there's a two-party system, because when a third party with some real genuine backing shows up, people from both sides join the party and ruin it. It's like, okay, so what are you going to do? You're going to say, well, if you're a Republican for the last 5 years, or if you're a Democrat for the last 5 years, you can't join the party. Is that American? The answer is no. And so this stalemate, and with the emphasis on stale, the stalemate of the political parties continues. Anyway, just to get back to what we're doing here, is we are putting ourselves in a position where the Supreme Court of the United States has got to define presidential immunity to allow the president to act without allowing the president to act criminally. There must be, and then, of course, that's the impeachment clause of the Constitution of the United States. But they didn't really define it. I wish they had defined it in ways that refer to federal law. Because, as you know, with the Georgia case, the president is being tried on state charges. No. The president, and this is how I would find the Supreme Court when it comes to immunity, the president of the United States is only liable for federal law, not state law, just federal law. That would be one avenue of immunity that I would take, because the president is a federal officer. He can be tried on federal charges, not state charges. That would take care of the Manhattan case. That would take, well, maybe not the Manhattan case, but it would certainly take care of the Georgia case. Now, it wouldn't take care of the federal case against him from Jack Smith. And is the president going to be tried on that? No, I see that that's covered by federal immunity. That's where I see it. So I would say that the Supreme Court's in a tight spot. But then again, that's why they get paid the big bucks. So there you go. So we'll see. Probably next week, because they do have to announce the results of their term next week, or maybe the week after. But I can't imagine they're going to let it go for too much longer. Anyway, so that is the presidential immunity case. We've already talked about the cheap fakes. Let's talk a little bit about RFK. This from the New York Times. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has not met the criteria to make the debate stage next week, according to the outlet CNN, denying him the opportunity to confront President Biden and Donald J. Trump. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. failed to qualify for the CNN presidential debate June 27th by the network's Thursday deadline, today's deadline. This, according to the outlet, a significant blow to his independent presidential bid that will deny him a coveted national stage alongside President Biden and former President Donald J. Trump. Qualifying for the CNN debate, one of two presidential debates scheduled before Election Day, could have been a plum prize for the Kennedy campaign. More than 73 million people watched the first debate between Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump in 2020. Mr. Kennedy would have had the opportunity to confront his opponents in front of an extensive national audience. He still does. He still does. Somebody like Newsmax or Scripps or any of the other, shall we say, AAA, as opposed to Major League, AAA news organizations, need to have a special where they sit down with RFK and ask every single question that are asked in the debates so that RFK can answer those questions. Would he have an advantage? Sure. Sure he would. But the day after you ask all those questions, that would give RFK, a debate advantage. And if the other major league players start having a problem, heartburn, what have you, with the fact that RFK Jr. is being able to refute, and indeed in an unfair way, and it would be unfair, to be able to answer these questions in a Monday morning quarterbacking kind of situation, then maybe what they should have done is put RFK Jr. on the stage with the main candidates. If I was running Scripps or Newsmax or for One America News and so on and so forth, I would make that happen. I would say, Mr. Kennedy, please join us the day after the debate. We'll ask you all the questions. And then if you could find somebody responsible, what you would do is bring up points that the other presidential candidates made in an effort to try to create some sort of debate scenario with RFK. Ask him tough questions about his answers without trying to debate with him via journalist/candidate. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to examine where RFK stands, asking fair but tough questions. That would be a national stage on any of those networks. It would help the networks out. It would help RFK out. It would help the American people out. I would send a letter to RFK Jr., but he'd go, who? The Who Report? Yeah, I almost changed my name to John David Who just to save time. So there's that. And speaking of dishonesty in news coverage and dishonesty in politics, check this one out. This is amazing. This from USA Today. A Texas Democrat running for county commission was taken into custody after being accused of creating a fraudulent social media profile and then using that profile to send hateful messages to his official account. In other words, racially harassing himself. Taral Patel, a Fort Bend County Commissioner candidate in Precinct 3, was arrested by the Texas Department of Public Safety. It happened yesterday. KTRK Television and TND reported he was charged with third-degree online impersonation, which is a felony, and misrepresentation of identity, which is a misdemeanor. USA Today contacted DPS and the Fort Bend District Attorney's Office for additional comment. Patel's campaign did not immediately respond for a request for comment. Fort Bend County, by the way, is 38 miles from Houston. Last September, Patel created a post on his campaign page claiming he had received a slew of hate comments from the supporters of his Republican opponents. Attached to the post were screenshots of the alleged messages. He said this, as your Democrat candidate for county commissioner, I'm always open to criticisms of my policies and positions and stances on issues. However, when my Republican opponent supporters decide to hurl racist, anti-immigrant, Hindu-phobic, or otherwise disgusting insults at my family, faith, community, colleagues, and me, that crosses a line. Yeah, he's talking to himself, apparently. Arrest documents obtained by KTRK Television said the post sparked Patel's Republican challenger, Andy Myers, to ask the DA to investigate the matter. According to the report, Myers informed law enforcement that he was familiar with an account dubbed Antonio Scallywag that took digs at him in the past. The probe revealed the account, which had a phony profile picture of a random man. It was linked to Patel's personal information. This, according to investigators. They alleged that Patel used the profile between October 2022 and May of 2024. Following the arrest, Fort Bend County GOP released a statement likening the accused alleged actions to Jesse Smollett, an actor who was found guilty of staging a 2019 racial attack. This, according to reports. Patel garnered widespread news coverage for claiming racist social media posts were made against him. This, according to GOP Chairman Bobby Eberle. Now, based on the arrest warrant, and much like Jesse Smollett, it appears that Patel used a fake Facebook account to send himself racial messages, then blamed his political opponents. Politics. Politics poisons everything. Everything. And these are the people we're supposed to consider to vote for. You know, politics has first got to be based on honesty. And what we're seeing is a deficit of honesty in politics. And everybody says, well, John David, you're being ridiculous. Well, yeah, maybe. Maybe not ridiculous, but idealistic. Let's put it that way. I am being idealistic. People who run for public office must serve the public, not the party, and certainly not themselves. And picking at the scab of racism in the United States for the sake of a political office, there's an avuncular statement that starts with an F and the second word is a Y. And if I was standing in front of this candidate, and I'm not even going to say his name, I'd say it.
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number 817-379-2172. A little bit of sports news before we leave this afternoon. Or I should see, I've already morphed into afternoon this morning. Yeah, we normally do the show 11 to 1. So we started the morning, we ended the afternoon. And we're doing it earlier today because I have to get to work a couple of hours early. And so my day job. And so my misnomer, please forgive it. So there will be a new, I don't know, I think I have an anvil stuck in my throat. There's going to be a new Men's College World Series champion. The Tennessee Volunteers and Texas A&M will face off in the 2024 Men's College World Series Championship. It's a best-of-3 series that begins tomorrow, or day after tomorrow. Both SEC powerhouses are looking for their first NCAA tournament championship in school history. Good luck to the Vols, and good luck to Texas A&M. Whoop. Anyway, hey, I live in Texas. Leave me alone. I saw this today, and I wanted to bring this up. There is a baseball field called Rickwood Field. It has been in existence for over 100 years, like 112 years. And it had been abandoned. This field was abandoned in 1992. It was the 82nd anniversary of the opening of the field. It had been 5 years since the Birmingham Barons of the Southern League had moved out, preferring modern amenities of a brand new ballpark. No tenant. Local residents who'd grown up attending games, both the Barons in the white minor leagues and the black Barons in the Negro leagues, had a legitimate fear that Rickwood would be demolished. Birmingham had a great old building that was our terminal station for rail and bus travelers. It was a beautiful piece of art, but it was torn down in 1976. That, according to Gerald Watkins, the chairman of the board of the Friends of Rickwood, the nonprofit tasked with preserving the ballpark. Well, what happened is that this got Major League Baseball's attention, and what they have done is they are building the park for Major League games that will take part sometime this year. And I wanted to bring you that story so I could tell you this one. It appears as though that LaGrave Field, which is another historic, amazing baseball park, is also going to be torn down. The abandoned LaGrave Field will be demolished because of safety concerns. The Tarrant Regional Water District Board voted 5-0 Tuesday to tear down the 4,100-seat stadium north of downtown, following a consultant's recommendation on the future Panther Island. There is not a timeline for the demolition. LaGrave Field has held its historic baseball games that have included Hall of Fame baseball icons, but it had closed when the Fort Worth Cats decided to stop playing there. That happened in 2002. I went there for a minor league game. I mean, a real minor league game. It was like just barely bigger than Sandlot. I mean, it was such a minor league game that what they did is when somebody did something brilliant on the baseball field, they would pass the hat to give to the guy who was playing, who did the amazing play. But LaGrave Field is a part of Texas history, and certainly Fort Worth history. And I love Fort Worth, Texas. I adore this town. And I would like it to preserve some of its heritage, certainly from a baseball standpoint, but it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get this one. A lot of joy happened in baseball and in life in LaGrave Field. It's going to be sad to see it go. And speaking of baseball icons, Willie Mays passed away. The Say Hey Kid. Truly an amazing ball player. He was one of the greatest ball players of all time. But as he has passed away, there have been anecdotes that have been floating to the surface having to do with Willie Mays. One of them comes from Johnny Bench, the illustrious catcher of the Cincinnati Reds. Willie Mays died at the age of 93, 50 years after his career ended. Tributes poured in and continue to pour in and should. Willie was just the absolute best. He'd come to home plate. He had that swagger, said Johnny Bench. He'd swing that bat back and forth. His head would go back. But the head movements were apparently an effort to try to figure out what pitch was coming. Bench said, well, he had this thing. He wanted to steal signs. His first base coach was Peanuts Lowry. And Peanuts would look around outside the coaching box trying to see the catcher giving the signs. If he called a curveball or a fastball, supposedly if Willie hit a home run, then Peanuts got a new suit. So I'm back there catching, Willie swinging back and forth. His head's going back. I'm just squatting back there. He does this about 7 or 8 times. Finally, he steps out of the box and said, you going to call a pitch or what? And Johnny Bench said, yeah, as soon as you quit looking back here, he was trying to look back and steal my signs. Willie Mays said, oh, man, you got me. You got me. Willie Mays. Speaking of bringing joy and admiration to the field of baseball and sports and life, we're going to miss him. We're going to miss the Say Hey Kid. This has been the Wells Report. Back to its normal time tomorrow, 11 to 1. I hope I join or you join me there for that broadcast. I have to play another commercial set, so I'm going to say see you tomorrow for Fishing Shirt Friday here on the Wells Report.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Even if you've tried before and were unsuccessful in getting rid of your timeshare, call today and see if we can help. We offer a complete 100% unconditional client satisfaction guarantee. Make this completely free call and learn how we can help you legally put an end to your timeshare nightmare once and for all. You have nothing to lose, so call right now to qualify and receive a free consultation. You can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, but you've got to call now. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship.
Call 877-655-6870. That's 877-655-6870. 877-655-6870.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.